Awesome. Hey everyone, once again we are live on YouTube of Hack This World 2.0. And today's YouTube live is going to be super interesting and amazing at the same time. Do you know why? Because we have our very own title sponsor, Storyblock, coming up with an amazing workshop on into where we dive into Jamstack and Next.js and more of those things all together. And of course, knowing more about Storyblock. I can already see the chat. It is super exciting to see all of yours enthusiasm. You are putting in your excitement. Let's have a quick round of your favorite emojis in the chat. Let us have a look once again to that excitement and let's feel excited. And I've been seeing you all communicating in our Discord as well, quite amazed and looking forward to this workshop as well at the same time. And again, once again, seeing you in the live stream helping or in contributing to all those live chat comments. It's like super awesome. Thanks everyone for joining in. Yes, we are live. So, how many of you are already aware about Storyblock? Let us know in the chat. Yes, no, or maybe what is that one thing you're looking forward to from this workshop so that we can understand where you are coming from. Until then, while you do that, let me quickly introduce what Hack This Fall is all about. Hack This Fall is a 48 hours virtual hackathon that we are going to host on 22nd to 24th of October, which is next month. But even before that, we have started so many activities. We have done Instagram lives, we have done Twitter spaces. Now in the September month, we have done various YouTube live streams, already planned more of that coming in future. You can check every one of them on our schedule page, which are live right now. Other than that, we are doing HTF Connects every Wednesday at 9 p.m. IST on our Discord server as well, which is a very informal and very welcoming space for everyone to join, interact with the community members, share their ideas, and just learn something new at the same time. So make sure you join us every Wednesday over there. Cool. Enough of me. Let me quickly invite our speakers for this session, for this workshop, the people from Storyblock themselves. We have Samuel and Facundo joining us. Hi there, how's it going?
Hello, everyone. How
Hello,
are you?
everyone.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's
Definitely. And so let's first, start with the round of introduction. Samuel, would you like to go first?
of course. Thank you very much. So, hi everybody. My name is Samuel Snopko. You hopefully already heard about me if I'm doing good my job. So, some of you at least. I'm currently working for Storyblock as the head of the developer relations, and I'm taking care of the presenting Storyblock, doing demos, helping developers to develop stuff with Storyblock, writing a better documentation, and I'm happy to also ask to introduce Facundo, as he's one of my colleagues in the DAX team. So Facundo, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So my name is Facundo, working at Storyblock 2 as a developer relations engineer. I'm from Buenos Aires, Argentina, so I don't know where are you watching us from, but a lot of places around the world. Super cool to have this opportunity to share some knowledge and to spend some good time playing with Storyblock and Next.js.
Definitely, thanks a lot for joining us, and it's definitely our pleasure to have you as our title sponsor, having this workshop set it up at the same time as well. Meanwhile, as Facundo asked, feel free to let us know from which part of the world you're joining in from, maybe your city, your country, else as well, so that we can also get your, inputs from the same end. And feel free to interact in the chat if you have any questions around Storyblock, around anything related. Feel free to ask that as well. Cool. So let's start this session with maybe introduction to Storyblock or anything which you'd like to go ahead with.
Okay, so I should probably then start. Give me a second. I will just put it on the side. So we prepare something special for you. So this will be not a regular demo. I'm going to share my screen first. And yes, share the screen and choose the correct screen. Great. Sometimes I will be looking at the left side. There's the second screen. I am watching what is the faces of Siddharth and Facundo, if everything's running okay and if I'm not saying something very strange. So yeah, this is the Storyblock, the website, and you will learn more about it. So this is a little sneak peek. So this is the stuff we are going to kind of build and work with. And we will do a little bit of workshop stuff. So we prepared for you a Notion document that we are happy to also share it with you. And I'm probably going to do it right now, or better, I will ask Facundo to, could you please share this document on the Discord that people also can check it out. And then I'm going to do a little intro into this stuff and into the whole workshop. So what we are going to do today. So yeah, there's a little bit about the front-end course. So it will be me and Facundo as the instructors. And it will take approximately 1.5 hours, maybe a little bit more according to the Q&A. So feel free to write and ask questions during the workshop. If you want to also contact us later, you can use our emails, or even better, you can use our Twitter, because we are very happy to answer any Twitter stuff. So my Twitter is twitter.com/SamuelSnopko, and I have open, so you can just go here, follow me and write me any messages, anything you would like to. And Facundo should be, if I am correctly, should be a Facundo Zurzdo, and he will also send the links into Discord, and you will also find the links in that Notion document. So that was the first part I needed to very quickly done. So what's next step? So what we are going to do today, it will be a very quick intro into the Jamstack and how to use the advantages of Next.js and how to connect the Next.js with the headless CMS and how to build and use it for different stuff. It's not only about building the website, it's about how you will do it with also with application, single page application, and even maybe in the future we would like to use it with something else like Swift or mobile applications. But in this case, we are going to focus on the Next.js. So here you can see a little bit a table of contents. So it will be a really quick intro, which will take us some time for Jamstack and headless board. Then we will try to understand the power of the atomic design. So if you never heard about the atomic design, it's one of the methodologies how to build and design your website, and I really honestly to like it. It came even before the whole headless idea and basically Jamstack, but I think it's something that really helped to fulfill the whole idea of the Jamstack here. Then of course I will show you how to do some environment setup. So we will do some let's say the brainstorming how to put the website. I already show you how to translate it to the headless world and how you should approach it, how you should cut it into pieces, how you should change and identify which is the Next.js components here. And then we, of course, will set up it in the Storyblock, and we will create our first page. We will create something also as an article page. And Facundo, according to the time we have, he will also show you how to create some more difficult components. At the end, there will be always time for the Q&A, but if you have, again, time for or any questions, just ask during the presentation, because I'm here, Facundo is here, and we see and watch your comments, so we can always answer them. Great. There will be also some links with you shared. You can see the links here. So if you are missing something, all you need to is the one link of this Notion document. You will find all the necessary links here. From the tools I will be using, from the tutorials that you really need to read if you want to do the stuff that we are going to today. And that brings me to the course schedule, and I will start doing finally the course. So if I see there are no real questions so far, there are already links for our Twitter account, so everything works pretty cool. So what we are going to do is that we already introduced myself and also Facundo. Introduce you know what we are doing, so we can jump that over, and we are going to design a simple portfolio blog page. So I guess a few of you, or hopefully everybody of you, already built some projects, and you probably use some already, some websites. You build websites, maybe applications, but of course we prepared something for you with our design team, and this is the homepage of the project, which is the Next.js. We have the same page for 3 different pages, and this is also which is a very, very, very handy with the headless, but we are now focusing on the Next.js. So what the Next.js, the point here is that we prepare some websites which have regularly, as always, you can identify there's some navigation, there is some headline, there is some there are some art, there are some image, then featured articles, some other ways of promo to have like, hey, contact us on Twitter, phone number, email, and so this is like a regular website. And the same is here coming on the article page. So this is a very simple block. So we are going to build this with Next.js and the Storyblock as our CMS and the front end Next.js. And on the article, as you can see, this is like more or less the same headline, navigation. And then we have here also a title with its image, which is very similar to that previous one. We have some text where you can write a text. We have a quote. Of course, we will have here the head of the author, usually with a little bit of description. And again, some related articles plus footer on the bottom. So this is the preview of what we are trying to build today. So let's say the question is how we should start. So our design team just handled us this and they say like, okay, please build this. And the question how to do it effectively is like answered partially into the introduction into the design, atomic design. And why is it good and what does it mean? So if you never heard about the atomic design is the way how you think about whole, not only about your CSS of some people like build it from small parts, but it's about like how you build your projects. Because the projects on the web especially, they are composed from a very, very, very similar parts. So we can identify on a lot of websites like URLs, we can identify the navigations, we can identify the forms, we can identify the labels, we can identify a lot of different fields. And I need to watch also my time that I don't speak too much. So Facundo, if you have feeling that I speak too much about something, just jump in. So and when this happens, so this happens by Brett Frost. And I hope and really think that you should be familiar about this because I was like really happy about us as I found out that it was like already like 2013 or something like that. And he wrote basically this essay, which is still online. And there is like few very nice quotes and the whole article. I'm not going to read your article. I'm just having here that's showing you this, that you should read this. He already also wrote a book about it whole stuff. But what I think is a really nice point is like even like the first initial like quote. We are not designing pages, we are designing system of the components. And this is something which starts already in the design process. So if you and everybody build the pages, it's a system of different components that we are putting together. So that means that you are not going to into big monolithic system and build one page per page type, and every time you will build everything from a scratch, but we're trying to identify the components that can be reused during on multiple types of pages. So good example is the navigation. So you take the navigation and you probably don't build the navigation on the website. We try to like put it outside, like abstract it from that page to the high level or like to have in separate settings. And that's already like the first step to atomic design because we are doing kind of atomization. But this is on the very high level. So if you go through atomic design, they take the inspiration from the periodic table of the elements, where you can, from the basic elements, build a more complex molecules. And that was why it's called atomic design. And you can find different systems under a different names. So, sorry, with their names. One more time. Different design systems like atomic design, component-based design, or like a brick system, or different stuff. But in the end, it's always about the same. It's like identifying the smallest possible parts and building from them a bigger part. So in this case, molecules. Then use those molecules to build the organisms. Then from those organisms, use them on the templates to build the templates without the content. And then basically, we take those templates, fill them with the content, the real content, and build the pages. And that's the atomic design. So this is basically the image that should kind of explain everything if you already heard about it and use it at least once. So I totally recommend you to read the article, read this essay, even if it's really old, but it's very, very helpful. And there's like, of course, that really nice book that I already mentioned. Sorry, where's my Notion now? So here is a link for a book somewhere. Here you have also link for the book, which I could recommend. And one thing I wanted you to understand before I move to the next process and show you like how we will do basically our atomic design for our website is to show you the video, which is, I think, even better than the image to understand how does it work. I think Facundo also can send you the link for the video. But what is happening here is basically that atomic designs, we are starting from small pieces. And did I pause it? No. Let's wait for the first screen. Yeah, it's coming now. So what you do first is like you are defining and finding out the small atoms. And those small atoms can be, for example, input fields or buttons. So basically, you are building, you are taking the smallest parts and you're trying to reuse them. So you don't have a 20,000 of buttons. You try to find like, okay, I need a 5,000 buttons. I need a 5,000 input fields. And then using these already existing small parts, you are building a bigger parts. So here, for example, I have an orange button with some rounded corners, and then I have some search like input field, and together, if I put them together, I created a molecule. And in this case, this could be like a molecule of the search form. So if I would like to use somewhere search form on my website, I already know how the search form should look like, and this is how it should look like. And this is like the molecule. So you can create like bigger parts from a small atoms. And then of course you have like multiple of different molecules or atoms, and if you put them together into the even bigger parts, let's say like sections of the website, you can create organisms. The organism is in this case, for example, a navigation. It could be a hero area, it could be a spotlight box, or it could be a promo box where you're promoting some products. It could be a carousel on your website. So anything you really think it's like huge enough to be defined as an organism. And then from these all components, or as we call them, right, like organisms, you will create the templates. So the templates in the normal way would be like, okay, you said this, there's a homepage, and the homepage should have some component or some hero on the top. There should be some article teasers, and on top we already have our navigation. So this is a template, and you can use and fill this template with different content. And by filling it with different content, you will create the different pages. So if you have those templates, which are usually also called content types, which defines which components can you use there, then you create with the content finally the pages or the product we want to create. And if you see look on this page, so this is the page discuss like explaining some Peugeot bike in this case, specifying the road performance, etc., etc. But if I would fill the same page with the same navigation, let's say that there will be like, where is the template? So if I would basically take this same template, I fill it with a different type of content, let's say about the computers or about the keyboards, then I would basically create a new type of page, and I can use basically the same template with different styling on and create a different content. And this is exactly what we are going to do, but we are going to do it a little bit differently. So this was the process that we developers are doing, is like from small parts going to the bigger parts. So what I mean here, going from a small parts to the bigger parts, is that if you think about it, the whole process, and if you think about what I see here, so usually we should ask our designers to say like, hey, please, can you start the process and can you build the small atoms? And then we do all the process about the discovery of our how it look like, what kind of colors we are going to use. But this is not exactly how the designers works. This is how the developers work. So we are able to build everything from small atoms and like building everything together and then reusing them. In the case of the design process, it's better to let the designers to do their freedom and keep their freedom also, because we also like our freedom, and build the pages sometimes from the whole pages, or get and find the persona of the website. So in this case, we have a black persona because the Next.js is the black. It's more or less everything is a little bit grayish. And then we already know that if we are building the next website, we already can reuse some of the parts, and that already the designer knows. So for example, here on the article, they already reuse the related article. So they are kind of doing this intuitively to do using the atomic design. And what is the next step is that we should cut this and define for ourselves together with our content team, so the team that will be creating the content, how they going to use and build this website. And there are multiple ways how to do this. So how you can do this, and I will get to the Storyblock soon, don't worry. How to do this is that you can create a very static template. So you just create the same thing that we already saw in the video. I would just like create input fields for a title, from description, for image, for the 3 articles, and for 3 teasers or like points. And I would just make it like a template in my content management system, let's say in Storyblock, and say like, hey, you can fill this. But this is not exactly what the content creators also want, because they want to create and build the stuff with experimentation. They want to try different stuff. And then if they have to go to us developers all the time that we need to, or they want to create something new, it's quite complicated. And that's what in Storyblock came also to idea that to help us to build the stories with the blocks. So basically, it's atomic design. We call it also that we building the stories with the blocks, because in Storyblock, you are building stories, not pages. The stories can represent the page, but it also can represent an application or like something non-representing by page. And the blocks are the part of that stories. So here, I would start by doing a screenshot. So let's do a very, very quickly a screenshot of this, and I will do by hand what I would do normally with the designers. So this is my screenshot. This is the screenshot, and I should have here the Brave. Yes. And let's quickly jump to the Notion. And I need to open the Octopus to do, because the Octopus is a little handy tool which you can use to create the sitemap of your website. And I really like it. So I pull it onto here on the left side, and you already see that there is something created, and this is just the default stuff. So what I am going to do now, so I have my homepage. Then the homepage consists of some parts. Then I'm going to think that I'm going to build this, and I'm going to build it in the atomic way. So first of all, I see that I have here already the main page. So let's go to this page, homepage, because we have here the homepage. And then let's go that we will have some article pages. So let's say there will be an article page. And there could be like multiple of them. It's totally up to you how you will use this. You don't have to use this tool, the Octopus. There are many other pages, the tools that you can use for this. So here, I now see that I have here my header. And I have my header is also here. So in this case, I'm going to also remove the other stuff that is not confusing for you. And I have here header and footer. So probably every website will have a header, a footer. And the header footer, if I will type here and start to putting some parts here, will be this. So this is my header. And if I now also add here some text, where is the text? Here. Let's put it here. This is the header. So you can see that I have a header here. And probably if I go here, and sorry, can I copy paste it? No. Add block. No, this is my header. And I will change to green. So I have my header, and then I wanted to add also the footer. And let's do these screens so they are on all the pages, just to make it easier. But we see that we have header and footer. And why I added also the article page, the footer, is very simple. Because if I go now here, let me move this here on the side. I will take also a screenshot of my second page. So let's do this. And I don't need footer. Okay, let's take also the footer. And let's click here. I have also this page. So now I have here, not screen enough big, but you will see that. So I have here the header, but the same thing I have here. So if I go here, I have footer, header, and this is what I'm talking about. So this is the same component. We don't need to recreate it for every time. So it's header. And this is quite very simple. What you definitely interactive, easy to work on. This is something what you can do, for example, by printing it together with your design team, with your content team, sitting in one room for 3 hours, drink some coffee, buy some sweets, and just cut your website to the parts. Because you identify the header, and I did it here. I know that this is the header, and this is also the same header. But then, if you continue, this is not only about the stuff that looks same. What I mean with that is that, look here. If I compare these two websites, and I will start cut the parts here, so I can also, let's say, cut this and say like this is my hero area. Let's change the color of it to purple. Just make it a little bit different, and let's add a text, and let's call it hero area. And the hero area is a special little bit, and let's change the text also to purple, because hero area kind of consists of the title. We have a description here, and here is an image. So, okay, fair enough. We identify this. And then I have a second page here, which is the article page. And I could look here on the page and see that there's something similar. Even we use the same image. So it's quite straightforward that we could also like cut this part and say that this is also hero area. And why I'm saying this is that the hero area, it helps us understand that this is the same component. So it's hero area. And I know that it looks differently, but it looks differently only because it's used in different contexts. It doesn't look differently because it has a different content structure. In the content structure, we are speaking about the same thing. We have also here a title, and we probably don't want to have this title like a special styling. So if it's an article, we would like to have it centered in the middle. If it's in home page, it will be centered on the left side. The same goes for the description here text, which is here centered and here on the left side. And then we have a different sizes of the image, but basically it's the same image. So we are saying that we are going to use the same component for both of these pages in this case, with a set of fields, which is a title, description, and the image. So if I would like to go really in detail, then I could go and take my text. Let's say this will be image, and let's very quickly change this to red one. So there's an image, then I'm trying to be fast, and that's always mean that it's slow. So description, right? That's this part, and basically there's a Any question, by the way? So far, I don't see any question. So we have a title, description, and the image. And I could go on and go on and go on. Because if you look here, then we have here the article page. And sorry, I did forget one part. So yes, okay. I have here the home page. So let's add here that we are going to use the hero page, hero area. And let's make it purple because we use it there purple. And also there's a page which is a hero area. So here we have a hero area. Then we have a featured articles, but there's where it's starting to be very interesting, because if you see that these featured articles are also something that we already have. So what I mean with that is that, of course, you can see that these two components are very simple, similar. And they are like features, articles, the same thing as I did before. I have again, comic paste, come on. Okay. So this area consists of a featured articles, but this is something special because this is the same area I have here. But I have here a title, and the title is saying something else. So that's only a change of the content. And the components here can also link to a different kind of the articles and different stuff. But this also means that these parts here are also components. These are the molecules I mentioned. So in this case, it's totally up to you and your team how you will define this stuff. So in this case, you can call it, of course, article teasers. You could call it previews or whatever else. You can have a different modes. You have big ones, small ones, etc. And to make it very, very simple, I will just make it change the color of it to green, and that you understand that the green ones will be, in this case, as I will call it, article teasers. So article teaser, so green. So those are 3 article teasers. And the purple one, in this case, let's call it featured articles. So, and we are slowly getting to the point that we will be trying to start moving that into Storyblock. Can the components inside the featured articles be hero areas? Yes, theoretically, that's a very good question. And yes, they could be also hero areas. I mean, I wouldn't call it hero area probably in that case, but yes, you can have it as hero areas, because in that case, if you will be manually choosing the image, title, and the description, but here is the outer plus, so theoretically you could have a left out outer. There could be also possibilities when these green ones would be also the hero area, or it can be built like that. The point is, of course, not confuse the content creators. So if the content creator is quite clear that these are the hero areas, then it's why not? And that's exactly what I wanted to show you, that it's up to you how you define the rules between those components and how you will combine them. So here I created something called featured articles, or maybe I should call it like article listing, because the same article listing with a different name is basically we have here. So if I go here, just add it here, this is article listing. And by this way, I will just cut basically my website to a different part. So what's happening there then? So if I will show you the next step, is basically exactly I will be creating my website. So here, okay, I know that I could use also here an article listing, and there will be also article listing. Then let's say we have here, but let's say here we have also the rich text editor, or rich text. Then also here is also possible to have like outer promo, and you are just adding those different components. So what is in this case rich text and outer promo? Because as you can see, I don't see it on the homepage, but here I have also the rich text area where in this case I could have like outer promo. So that would be this part, and of course this could be one rich text area. This could be second rich text area. And this could be a quote, or there is also so in this case there will be like quote component, or however you will find better names for you. Then of course you can all of these like change the order in the body. You can like fix them if you want, but also there is a possibility if you decide together with your team that it's better that you will say like this is the body. You have to use only one rich text editor component, and you cannot like change the order. You will just write the rich text and you will do a little bit styling at that. And this is how you are basically building your website, your content types, or like types of the website. And then you will get very soon a list of different stuff according not to the design, but the content structure. And then you are starting to do the other stuff. So, okay, let's say I have a landing page. And of course, on the landing page, probably I will have my header. Then I will have my footer. So that's quite easy. Sometimes you don't have to name it. Probably, maybe you will have hero area. Maybe you have a different type of hero area, like hero area landing page. And then you will have there like products slider. Product slider. 3 points. Here, I will very quickly change this to green to make it more straightforward. Also this to green. And then let's say that product slider can be used also on the home page. Product slider. And now I am already getting my overall. So, okay, I know I'm going to build my project, which will consist as a main page or a main content type as a home page. I will have a landing page. I will have an article page. And the article page can consist from a hero article listing, rich text, quote component, author promo, and you can also add a new component. And then if you add a new component, you can say like, okay, it can be used on different components, but I am already like here defining the rules that which page can consist of what, how I can combine them. So for example, let's say that here the border, the purple one means that hero is always only one on the top. I can define my my rules, and then only the blue one is which can change the orders. So what about it? Okay. So now very quickly jump back to the Notion. So I will click down and done, because this should be quite easy. Here's one older link to the octopus where I created also something similar. So with maybe a little bit names. So you can see here that I have here the hero area, intro section, grid, newsletter section, which is a good sample. The newsletter section is all raised also on all the pages. Then I have here also, for example, on about page, I have skills and bio. And here on the article page, I can use a rich text editor, image component with different styling maybe, and sponsor banner. So we get to this point, and now we need to find the way how to put our content together, because we want to create this stuff, and we need to somehow provide the Next.js and build with Next.js. Because I could go and basically, if you think about this, these components already representing my components in the Next.js world. So I already defined that I have a product article listing, and there was some article teasers, and those are the Next.js components, which will Facundo talk a little bit more about. But now we will need to define how we will save and work with the data. So that's the next point, and that's the introduction to Storyblock. And what is the Storyblock? So, okay, I have like 20 more minutes probably. And then Facundo will do a lot of coding. So what is Storyblock? Is a headless CMS. So if I go and this kind of Storyblock provide you a freedom. You have a decoupled front and a backend. You don't have to use for the front end Next.js. You can use a PHP, you can use Next, you can use Vue, you can use Svelte, you can use any framework basically you want. You will be, or we will be getting data through the API. You can choose the GraphQL API, or you can choose the JSON API. What we offer as headless CMS, which is great, is that security. Because first, you get a freedom. You are not forced by monoliths that you have to build your website which some way. You can use really like what you want and build how you want to. The second thing is the security, because usually we are doing the Jamstack here, and we are building like pre-building, so doing the static builds. It's really hard to hack us, because there is one cloud service, and all your websites, which is publicly facing, are already pre-rendered and built on the server. This depends on the deployment, but the security is much better than as if you go to your website /login, and a lot of times you try to admin and you get in, or in the worst cases there is a lot of security issues, and you have to regularly update your stack on your server. Because if you don't do that, there is a publicly known issues with your monolithic system, and everybody knows how basically to get inside the system and do something bad. Of course, Storyblock has some special stuff, and that's the secret sauce is the visual editor, the real-time visual editor with live preview for editors. And what I mean with that is, maybe it's now time for a little demo. So with the Storyblock, you can go and create a little demo Facundo will show you how to do it with the Next.js, and he will show you also the latest V2 of the Storyblock, and probably also the latest package with the in-context editing. But what you can do with the real-time visual editor is that we don't offer only forms. This is what the headless CMSs as normal are perceived, is that you have only the form. So the regular Rails. So if I hide this, you will get forms like this, and you can just write the content, and our content editors can write the content. They can save, they can publish, they can change the workflow stages, of course, and they can do all that stuff. But in Storyblock, we find a way using the very simple JavaScript library and bridge, which you will enhance your website. So this is not the abstraction of your website or your product. This is your real product. And then you can have stuff like, if you can see here all the outlines, the dashed lines, you can click, and on the right-hand side, the correct component is open. And not even only that, there's also working the two-way binding. So if I start typing here, I see a live preview without even like saving the stuff and redeploying. I can do and also like upload and change the images. So for example, I can go and add this image here, and we will see in the real time without the saving the change of the image and how it look like. Our content editors and marketers love it because they can like very easily like experiment, like double copy paste the components, and then just very easily create and experiment, like creating the new stuff. They can then try out if it's look like good on the mobile, if it look like good on the tablet, and in general, like how it's drag and drop. They can do also the stuff like changing the colors. So let's say adding a shadows, maybe change this button to the white, and all of that is not binded to us as a Storyblock. It's defined by you as a developer together with your design team, with your content editor team, with your management team. That because it's up to you how much responsibility and freedom do you want to give the people who are creating the stuff. So it's some people confusing Storyblock with the web builders, but we are not definitely web builder. We are really powerful headless solution with the custom application, with management API, with the content delivery API, with the GraphQL, and you can use it during the hackathon to win also one of these keyboards. I think like there will be 3 or 4 of them. So that was a quick intro, a little bit promo of the Storyblock, and now back to the Notion. So how it works. What's also the other important stuff? So the other important stuff is like we are thinking, and we all are developers. So the developer experience and user experience are in focus. We really think about how to make possible that developers are so happy with the solution, and in the same time the user. So the new V2 is even better for user experience, but still keep all the freedom for developers, and you can work with a framework you like. You can scale up. That means basically that you can start on our free plan, and as adding more people and as you are scaling up, getting more pages, you can scale up. You can change just plans. You can go to enterprise. You can go for e-commerce. It's up to you. And in the best, it also is really possible to do all this stuff with atomic design. So we had it in mind, and you will see in now how to do that. So how does it work? And you will see how to do the atomic design in a second. Very quickly, just the high level. Okay, sorry. I think I can jump over the images because they are anyway like so high level that you will get it. Just go to this very nice website and you can read it more in detail in developer guide and understand what I meant and how does it exactly work at the moment. Because we don't have so much time. And Facundo, please, could you send this website? I'm going to now show you how to create the components for this. So I promised to Storyblock to prepare him some space. So I'm going to create a new space from scratch. I'm going to call it Hack this fall 2021, and I'm creating as a new one. I'm going to skip the step-by-step tutorial at the moment, and this is what you will see normally when you enter. As we are here on the workshop for the developers, we are going to directly to developers. First of all, I'm going to invite Facundo. So let's try the email, and he is here. So, and he will be the admin also. So he can now get the API tokens and show you then how to connect with Next.js. And I am going to create the homepage. At the moment, the homepage here is empty. We don't have any visual preview. That will be something that Facundo will be also doing. And we have here only like some hello world data. We could directly already change it, but it's definitely not the stuff that we, sorry, I'm just confusing you. It's not the stuff that we created here, because we have here the hero area. So let's create the hero area, and let's continue from there. So I'm going to now just open this as a full screen and do this. And hopefully you will see what I mean. Yes, that works. So now we are going to components, where the developers define all the components for the story block. We define already the page, but I would like to have a home page. So I am going to create also a homepage type. Home page. Sorry. And that will be a content type. And the homepage, in this case, Facundo will be then doing probably slide changes. We'll have, let's say, a body. And into the body, we would like to add any fields. Any other components. But we didn't have to create any components, so let's keep this like this. We created a homepage type. We are now able to create our homepage. But we would like to have their hero. So let's add a hero area component. Now I'm creating a hero area, and I'm now creating its structure or schema. So that will be an stable, because I want to add it into the homepage or article page. And here, if you remember correctly, and if I also go to the right side, where I have my abstract is here, then I said that we would like to have there a title, we would like to have a description, and we would like to have an image. So let's do that. So I need a title, I need a description, and I need an image, or hero image, or however we will call it. I added 3 field types. All 3 field types are at the moment just the text, because if you click it, I see the type as text. But for the title, text is quite good. I would just require it. So let's make sure that always the title is there. Then the description, I would like to use a longer text. So I would go for text area. If I would go for rich text here, I could also use the rich text or the markdown. Of course, I have some other options. And even if you would like to go like for integration with something like really, really crazy, you can go for plugins. And this is something which also are quite handy. And we have very nice documentation. Maybe you can use it in hackathon. So little tip for maybe some bonus points if you want to use the Storyblock. So let's add this as a text area, the description. And the last thing is the image. And the image should be probably an asset. And I guess it will be typed image. So that's quite easy. I can now save it. And now on the home page, let's say I will here create like my pages. And let's say this will be a molecule. I can now add to molecule a hero area. And into the pages, I could add here homepage. So, and the homepage now, I said like, let's say there is a body. There's like a lot of ways how you can do this, but I would like to have a body containing other components. So here the body, I can add it a special type, a block. And this is how the Storyblock basically works, that you are allowed to define a blocks in field. So in here, you can use any other nest-table component. And now I remember that I forgot to mention this, so I will cover that in a second. And I want to here, but whitelist only components that you can use. So for example, here I see that I'm allowed to use the hero area, article listing, and product slider. So for this, just to make sure, I'm going to choose a hero area for now, and I'm going to save it. But as I said, I would like to use also article listing. But for using an article listing, I should probably have an article. So let's create a page type article. That will be a content type again. And the article, let's have a hero area. So let's say that we have here some hero area field. And let's say that this is also a block where I allow to be added only a hero area that I will allow to add maximum and require at least one. So basically I said that there has to be a one hero area on the article. And then of course you have here the other stuff. So let's say like I could also like add a rich text editor. I could create the body of this, and I will leave this to Facundo, how he would like to. Maybe you can also do it like this. So we can also like add a title, description, an image if you want. So the same approach I did for the hero area. But now I'm making it complicated, and that's not my point. So I created the article. What I would like to do now is also have on the homepage those featured articles. So that article listings. So what this means is that I would like to have a new component called featured articles, let's say. And the featured articles will consist of articles. So list of articles. So here is the articles, and those articles should be picked by hand. It could be also filled manually, but I would like to pick them by hand. And I would like to create and like link them to these other stories. And probably I would like to link them from the articles folder that doesn't exist at the moment. And I will do that in the second. And if you remember correctly, there was also this title, featured articles. So I need here also the title, which will be again a simple text. Save it. And now I just added also a featured articles component. So on the pages and the home page, I'm going to allow also the featured articles and save it. And now I'm going to content. Here, I just create articles folder for my content creators. I will say that they are allowed to add only articles inside. And that's it. So basically they can create here articles. Let's say I will create here my first article. So article number 1. And I will be able to, as you can see, already add the hero area block. And here in the hero area block, I am able to write my title. There would go the description. And I will be able to upload, let's say, image, of course. Of course, maybe set up a focus point with advanced options to fill in some alt text and then just upload it. Of course, I don't see the preview right now in this moment, but that will be something that Facundo will be doing in a few seconds, and I should really give him a time because he will be taking 1 more hour. Facundo, you have to tell me that I'm speaking so long, because I'm like doing the last few things, and then the Facundo starts with Next.js. So I just created an article. I could like publish it and do all the stuff. And now I'm going to create my homepage. So here, let's say I will remove this original homepage. And I will create a new homepage again. So let's call it home. And I would like to use the homepage as a type. So again, I don't have a real-time preview because that will come in a second. But I can see that I have here the body. And let's keep this, that you are not too confused by not presenting that. And here I now can choose from a different components or different molecules, like you can see already. I mean, you can name differently. And here you can see that I already have the option to add hero area and also option to add article listing. So I add a hero area. Again, I would think fill here like heck this fall 2021. My description, and maybe choose an image from asset in the library that is a little bit faster. Then again, go back. I can add and then featured listing, featured articles. And here I can already choose my article because there I created one. And I could like write here the featured article. I can save it. of course, and publish it. By saving and publishing, you're creating the draft version and then, of course, the published version. And what we'll be covering is that we will, at the end, then consume this draft JSON, which consists the information about my website. And these data will be used to render the website how approximately like this. So here you can see that I have here the body that is also here. So basically, this is my homepage. There is a body. And also here, you can see this body, which consists of two components. So it's an array of two components. The first one is basically a type hero area. And here is the file name of the image. Here is the description, which say description, and the title hack this fall. So exactly what you can see here inside the stuff. And the same thing goes also then, of course, for the featured articles, where you have a title and link to the article or like reference. So here you can see this is a component called featured articles, which help me to render the correct component. And then here I have a title saying like, okay, this is the featured article and the article ID, which there is a little hack how you can, instead of getting the ID, you will get the real content of it. And like this, you would then create all the options that you will set up together with your team together, and your content editors, content creators will have all the options to build the stuff. So if I want to now add, again, I want to add a new feature article, I could add a new hero area, or as we have in our projects, you can have directly like hundreds of the content here and options, because we don't limit you. And basically you have unlimited content types, you have unlimited content components. And you can also like, nest as much as you want. So as you can see here, in this, give me a second, on the screen, there are content types and the nestable components, and the nestable components can be nested in any nestable component or in any content types. So it's fully up to you how deep and how small will be your component. And I think that was already all the theory from my side. I created hopefully everything Facundo needed, and he can now start with creating the next setup, connecting the Storyblock with the Next.js, and also building basically the preview for you, and you see how you can consume and use Storyblock together with the Next.js. Storyblock. So Facundo, I am stop sharing the screen, and you can share your screen, and I will look on the questions and answer them. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if we have questions. There was one question I just answered.
Great.
If we can use vector images inside the components, and yes, we can. So that was the answer to the question. Give me a second, and I will share my screen. Oh, sorry. Share. Cool. Let me know if you see my screen. So the idea would be to create a front end for the application that we are creating now, the website that we are creating, and that some design using the atomic design and the components that we now have in our Storyblock space. So to do that, what we are going to use is Next.js. Next.js, if you don't know, is a framework, a React framework, let's say like a meta framework, because it's built on top of React, that we can use to create React applications. But Next.js offers the possibility of using features like server-side rendering or static site generation to create the pages from the server and deliver to the user a different experience, not only a client-side rendering application or a single page application. The benefit that we can get advantage of from Next.js in, for example, the page that we are creating now, the website that we are creating now, is that we will be able to create static pages at build time and host them in, for example, a platform like Vercel or Netlify, and host our website there. So the users will visit our website, which will be conformed by static pages, static assets. These static pages will be faster and more secure to visit. I mean, because we don't have to generate any kind of dynamic content on the fly when the users visit our website. So that's a good feature that we can get advantage of Next.js. For this particular project, as it is a blog post, as it is a blog platform, as the text of the articles that we have on the homepage won't change like super frequently, we can generate these static assets and host them in the server. So we will have static assets generated there. And whenever we make a change in Storyblock, and we click on the publish button or the save button that Sam just showed, we can trigger a build process of our web project and generate a new version of these static pages to display the new content to the users. So what I'm going to do now, I'm in my computer in localhost. I will execute npx create next app, which is an application that we have available to create Next.js applications using a boilerplate that is maintained by the Next.js team. So we can be sure that we are using like the latest changes, that it's fixed and it's up to date. And this application will generate all the files that we can need to begin creating our Next.js application. I will name it hack this fall. And well, everything will start executing now. It will install React because, as I said, Next.js is based on React. It will install all the packages that we need to work and to initiate our application. In the meantime, what I can do is to double check that I was invited to the space that Sam just created, because we will use it to create an application. I will look here in the hack this fall, yes, space, and I will double check that we have the homepage that Sam created and that we are not displaying any page here. What we are going to do, I will go to the settings page here, and we have a location or default environment, which is the website that we are going to use to preview how the page will look like when we edit and we add some content. As I'm going to work with this local application, the URL that I will use for the preview will be http localhost and the port 3000, because that is the one that we are going to use in our application. I mean, in the application that is living in my computer. And on the other hand, here we have the API key that we will use to preview the content and to link the application from my computer to the visual editor, so we can see it there. Let's see if this finished. Okay, this finished. So let's go to the new folder that I just created, and I will open Visual Studio Code to edit it. You can use the editor that you want. I'm familiar with Visual Studio Code. Give me 1 second that I will zoom the font so you can see what's happening, and I will open a terminal. So this is the boilerplate for any Next.js application. We have the README, all the packages that we are using, some configuration, some styles that are available, and the pages folder, which is the one. Next.js works in a page-based mode, let's say. So whenever we can create routes in our application, and Next.js will evaluate those routes. Depending on the route that we are using, it will link the path that we are visiting in our site with the path that is living in our solution folder. So, for instance, if we have a page in google.com/help/about, we will have this help/about, which is the path or the URL, and we can have here a folder that is called help, and another file inside of it called about.js, and Next.js will automatically link the URL that we are visiting with this path that we are generating in our folder, and will execute the code that is in the JavaScript file that we have in the path that we are defining. Another cool feature that Next.js offers is that we can use dynamic routes. So, for instance, we can have like a generic path with a parameter that we can use to generate a page based on what we have in the path. And we can use that in the server-side rendering and in the static-side generation. So, for instance, in the case of the articles or blog posts that we are seeing now, we don't have to create one page per blog post, because the code itself of the front end will be always the same, and the only thing that will change is the content that is brought from Storyblock, and we will have only one file with all the code that we need to generate the markup for our article page. So this is the boilerplate, and this is the space. As I say, we will use this preview to connect to the application. First of all, let me install some packages that we will need, because these are all React, but React and Next, but we need some dependencies from Storyblock to work with it. So one of the packages that we are going to use is the client, Storyblock client, that we can use to connect to the Storyblock space and bring the content using the REST API that Storyblock exposes. So what I'm going to do now is to install npm Storyblock JS client on our application. And the other component that I will install now that I'm here, give me 1 second, is another package that Storyblock offers to edit, to open the components that we are using in the space in our application and link them in the visual editor and allow the user to click on them and edit them on the fly and see the changes. You will see the magic later, but it will be more clear. What I'm going to do now is to install that other component. Let me see if everything is okay. Whoa, sorry. I just saw that this one didn't. If I don't put install, it won't install ever. So we are installing Storyblock JS client. We also will need Axios to connect to Storyblock REST API, and I will also install this Storyblock editable, which is what we are going to use in the component that we are going to create to connect to Storyblock application and the visual editor and be able to edit the content on the fly. Let's run npm install so we also get all the packages that we need from the next project. And now that we are here, if we execute npm run dev, what we are doing is starting the development server of Next.js, executing locally at localhost 3000 that I said. And if we go here and I go to localhost 3000, you will see that this is the home page of Next.js boilerplate. I mean, there's no information from us, and this is what we see whenever we create a new Next.js application. But what is cool is that if we go to Storyblock and I go to the content and I go to the home, as I define this preview as localhost 3000, we see a different page now, which is a 404. I mean, it's not cool. But what is cool, to say that in some way, is that we see here that we are going to localhost 3000 home, and we didn't create any page for this path home. This is what we are sending because we are in the story home that has the slug, the URL called home. But we can change that. If we go to the config of this story, you will see that the slug is home because that's the same name of the story. But we can create a real path, which is the one that we will send to the application and use it as if it were the slug. So if I define, for instance, that the real path is just a slash, we can say, okay, this is the one that we are sending, and we are going now to localhost 3000, and we can see that we are seeing the same page that we have locally running, which is better than a 404, but we are not displaying anything related to the content that we created, right? So we can say now that we connected the visual editor of Storyblock to our localhost application. I will see if there is any question, because I was not looking at the chat.
No. So far, no questions. There's a little bit chat. Facundo, you can continue easily.
Okay, cool. Please let me know if you have any question, if you want to see anything that I'm not going deep enough, and etc., and I can stop there. But yes, so now what we are going to do is to connect Storyblock to our application so we can use the content from Storyblock, right? So what we are going to do here is to create a new folder called util. No, we can call it lib, because what I'm going to do now is to create a Storyblock client code that we can instantiate in all the stories from Next.js to use to connect to Storyblock space. So we are going to create this storyblock.js file inside of lib, and as the code is kind of boilerplate and we use always the same in all the projects, what I'm going to do is to grab this and paste it here, and I will show you the code and explain to you what's happening. But we are importing here two hooks from React, use state and use effect, and we are importing the Storyblock client from the package that I installed before, Storyblock.js client. And you can see that we are here instantiating this Storyblock element, which will be a Storyblock client that we have to define an access token. And here is where the token that we have in our Storyblock space enters. I will go to the settings. I will grab this here. I will go to API key, grab this one, and paste it here. This is probably not the best solution. I'm doing this because it's an example, but you can use environment variables here to hide the token and have it in your server. So now that we have this client, this is the one that we are going to use to retrieve information related to the stories of our space from the pages that we are creating. But besides the client, another thing that we are going to create is this Storyblock hook. What this is going to do is to use the Storyblock bridge to link the visual editor with our application and be able to see the changes that we are applying and doing in our pages, in our components, in real time. The Storyblock bridge is a JavaScript file that we have to include in all the pages and that we create, but just when we are working in the draft version of our application or the testing environment or the development environment, because we don't want we don't need to get this ability of changing the content on the fly on our production and published version of our web application. So if you go here, well, if you see here, we are adding the bridge. We get the document and we add this Storyblock bridge, which will be always the same for all the pages. It is living here. In this URL, if you go there, you will have the JavaScript file for the Storyblock bridge. And we append that JavaScript file. We include that JavaScript file to all the pages that we have. And now that we have the bridge, and we can, here you can see that we are only adding the bridge if we are in preview mode. And with that bridge, what we have to do is to define some events that are going to happen when we are working on a story, and that we want to catch and to execute some code to reflect the changes that are happening in the content. So here, what we are going to do is to create an instance of the Storyblock client, which is the one that is going to connect to the REST API of Storyblock and bring the information. I won't enter on this detail now. We can see that later. But what we have here of the bridge, I said the client. What we have here is the Storyblock bridge. We instantiate that now, and we have some events that we can catch. We have the event change and the event publish. As you saw before, when Samuel showed you, if you go to story here, you can click save to generate a new draft version of the story, or you can create, or you can hit publish to publish the changes to the production environment. So these are the two events that we are catching here, the change event and the publish event. When we get one of these two events, what we are going to do is to reload the complete page and show the story with all the changes that we applied. And another event that we are going to catch is the input. The input event happens whenever we edit any type of content inside the story. If we go here to the hero area and we put hack this fall instead of 2021, we put 2022, changing the content here, what it's doing is to execute this event input. So whenever we do that, what we are going to do is to refresh the story that we are setting in the state of our page to display the changes. And the last event that we are going to catch is enter edit mode. This is happening when we load the story and we load the page. And what we want to do is to use the Storyblock client to call the REST API and bring all the information related to the story ID or the story that we are seeing now in the version draft, and use that information to set that as the story of the page that we are seeing now. So now that we have all these events that we are catching, and we are adding the Storyblock client here, and we are executing actions whenever one of these events happens, and we are connecting to the right space, we can say that everything is ready now to start creating out pages and see the changes in Storyblock application. Please let me know if you have any question. I don't see anything.
No.
Yes. Thank you, Apollo. If anyone feels that I'm talking too much or saying a lot of things, please stop me, ask anything. We can talk about that. We can stop in any detail.
There's a question, Facundo.
Yes. Will this boilerplate code be the same for all projects? Yes. You can change things depending on your project. This is like the basic boilerplate that we need to get the visual editor working with our Next.js application. In fact, this is code that can be used in a React application, for instance, too, if you are creating a React instead of Next.js application. But the boilerplate will be slightly the same for all the projects that you work on. Probably something that you can change is the relations that, well, in the example that Sam displayed before, we can have pages where we have list of posts that we created, and the resolve relations options that we send to the Storyblock client means that we are going to resolve the relations to the other stories and bring all the data related to those stories too. So in the case of the homepage, for instance, if we are showing a list of 3 blog posts, what we are going to do with the resolve relations options is bring the information of all the 3 posts, and we can use the information from them, like the image of the blog post, the title, the description, to show that in the homepage, for instance. But the boilerplate itself would be pretty similar to this one, and yeah, I mean, we don't. You can use this code. What I'm going to do after this, or probably later, I don't know if we will have time to see the completed sample. But what I'm going to do is to share. If you go to this URL, storyblock.com/technologies, this is the technology hub that we have in Storyblock site. Let me share that in the chat. But what you can see here, we have a lot of tutorials, boilerplates, starter projects, videos, chats, sorry, not chats, but recording of past talks that we presented, articles, tutorials, for different technologies, frameworks, and programming languages. Because one of the benefits of a headless CMS and like a service like this that you connect using a REST API is that it's technology agnostic. I mean, we are now displaying a Next.js application and a Next.js project because we are grabbing Next.js as an example, but you can use Storyblock with any programming language, with any technology, because it's a REST API that you can connect using the technology that you prefer. But what is cool is that for a lot of frameworks and programming languages, we also have npm packages or libraries that you can use to make your work easier. For instance, for React applications or Next.js applications, we can use the client that I'm using now. We can use the Storyblock editable component that I will display later. And we have the same for Vue.js, for instance, well, React, Angular, PHP, even Python, ASP.NET. We have components, tutorials, guides for all the programming languages, and you can use them. And if you go, for instance, to the hub that we have for Next.js, you can see that we have a video of Sam explaining how to create a website using Next.js and Storyblock. We have a getting started tutorial, how to create a multi-language blog tutorial, which is pretty cool. And you have the boilerplates of these projects, so you can get them to start your project from the ground without having to do everything manually, and like starting from a fresh Next.js application. I mean, you can use these projects to start and edit it and have your, for instance, your blog live up and running, like changing some stuff, some styling, some details to connect to your space. So we have here the code that we are going to use. I hope everything is cool. We will see there, define this. Let me double check so I don't have any error when I execute this. But we have all the code that we need to connect Storyblock to our application. So what we are going to do now is go to the page, and we have only this index.js, which is the page that we were seeing before. I mean, here you see the title. It says create next app. If we put here, I don't know, hello, hack this fall, and we save. One of the benefits that Next.js has is that we have a hot refresh. So if I go here, and I see that I edited the title of the head. So if I go to this title now, okay, and I put hello hack this fall, you will see that I just save and I go to the page and the title changes. And I didn't have to refresh the page. I didn't have to do a deploy, a build, or anything. And what we are going to do is to edit this page to bring information from Storyblock and display the components that we are creating in Storyblock, right? So what I'm going to do is, having this index page, we will bring the information related to, I mean, we could bring the information related to this home page. So what I'm going to do now is do some cheating here because I already have the code, so I don't have to write it everything again. I will put it here and replace all the code of the page with this. So what are we doing here? We will have two components that we will use, the layout component and the page component that I will create later. And we have here the, well, this is different, but we will have the Storyblock client and the use Storyblock hook that we created before. And we will bring them from the lib, the lib file, yes, sorry. Having these two, what we are going to do is when we execute the main function for the home, we are going to bring the story from Storyblock. We will have the properties that we are executing, and we will return the main layout with a page using the content, the content that we bring from the story. You will see now that we have this get static props with this, which is a function that is executed at build time to generate all the static assets and all the static pages that follow a certain criteria. The criteria that we are using, we can set that based on, I don't know, a function called get static path. Like we say, okay, generate all the pages that follow, I don't know, that are inside this collection of URLs. But in this case, what we are going to do is to hard code the home because we want to bring the story home with the Slack home. We will bring the draft version. We can bring the published version too. Well, this won't be executed. This is not needed because we are bringing always the draft version. And we will execute the Storyblock client using the Slack home and sending the parameter that we want the draft version. And when we have the data, we are returning that the story of the data that we are bringing from the React. Well, don't see this because this is happening. But if I go to Storyblock and I see the draft JSON here, you will see that we are bringing a story inside of the content that is returning from the REST API, and we are bringing that story and sending that to the function that we are going to use to generate the markup of our page. So here we said that we have the story. We use the hook that we defined before with the story that we are sending, and it's coming from the REST API. And that story is the one that we are going to use to create our page. So now what I'm going to do is to create a new folder called components, and we will create two files inside of it. One is called layout.js, and the other one is called page.js, because that's how we call our two components here. For the layout, what we are going to do is to define some generic layout that we are going to use in all our pages. So I will copy the code from here. We have a layout with some styling, and we are using the children. The children is the page component that we are sending. You are seeing here that I'm using some styling, some CSS classes. I will define that, and I will talk about that in a couple of minutes. I wanted to create a component first, the other component, which is the dynamic component. Oh, sorry, this changes. We are going to use this other Storyblock editable component here. This is the page. The page will have a main section, and inside the page, what we are going to do is to grab the content that we sent here, which is the story. We will bring the body of the story, and for each block inside the body, we are going to render that block, which we are defining here as a dynamic component inside of it. I will talk about the dynamic component. Well, we can talk now, but the dynamic component, it's another component that we are going to create inside this same folder. And the idea behind the dynamic component is that we don't know how each one of our stories is going to be conformed, or how each one of our stories is going to look like. So we define this dynamic component, where what we do is to define a list of components that we support in our Storyblock space, and depending on that, whenever the dynamic component receives a block, we evaluate which type of component is that block. If that block is one of the blocks that we support and that are in this list, we will grab the markup of that component and display that. And if not, we will display a placeholder. So what I'm going to do now here is create the teaser component, teaser, feature, grid, and placeholder. Feature, grid, and placeholder. So we have these four components, and for each one of them, we will define the markup that we are going to display for them. So what we are going to do here is to create components that will support the ones that we are using in this case, right? I mean, the ones that we support in our application. So we can go back here. We can go to the components and see that we support the article type, the feature type, the grid, the teaser, the ones that we talked about here. So we already have the page component. We have the dynamic component defined. I'm going to close a couple of these because we won't see anything. Any question from the chat? How we are on time?
We are at 5 p.m. directly. It's our time, or my time. Sorry, well, your time is different. So definitely 1.5 hours, but still, I think like you can go.
Probably what I can do. Probably what would be easier is to. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Probably we want to say the same thing, so just go ahead.
Oh no! What I was going to say is that what I was planning to do is to grab a project that is already working and probably see how it should. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to open one of the examples that we have, because I think that the idea was. I mean, you follow the idea.
Yeah, I did change you a few things, so that's why you got that error.
No. It's okay. But what I wanted to display here is we have the multi-language website, which is one of the examples that I show you that you can get from Storyblock site. I'm going to here the client, and what I'm going to do is to grab from the space here, multi-language website, I will grab the API key so I can connect to this space and I can show you how this is working. And well, this is exactly the same as we saw before. One change, I mean, we have all the components here defined. What I didn't say before was that all this styling is used with Tailwind CSS. Tailwind CSS is a framework, let's say, that we can use to follow the atomic design approach in our applications, but also having a more, how to say, using classes to define the style for our pages in a more ordered way, let's say. So if you see here, I won't explain how to install Tailwind CSS in your application. Probably you can follow that. I can share with you a link here. Probably, well, I see that some of you already know Tailwind, but if you follow the URL that I just shared in the chat, you can see how to configure Tailwind CSS in your Next.js application. And we have all the components that we need here to get our page up and running. You can see that here in the dynamic component, well, here the list of components is bigger because it's a different project. But if you see, for instance, the teaser, let's say, I'm importing here the SB editable from Storyblock editable package, which is the one that I installed before. And what it does is we add this to any element inside of our component, and we are saying, hey, this component can be edited from the visual editor, and you should sync the changes or be aware of that. And the other thing that we are doing, and that I want to display here, is that we are getting the block from the REST API of Storyblock, and we are using the information of the block to populate the markup of our component. So here, this teaser component in Storyblock, in the Storyblock space, let me show you. But if I go here to the components, we see that the teaser has a headline and has an image. So if I go to the teaser in my solution, you can see that from the block that I'm bringing, whenever I have a teaser, I can grab the headline property and use it, for instance, as a text here, or use the image and property as it is an image. We can grab the file name and the alt text and display it there. Let me run this solution so you can see what I'm talking about. Let me see if this connects to. So this is the project that I'm using and displaying you now. It's pretty similar to the one that Sam created. We have images, we have posts, and etc. And this is in my computer. But if I go here to this space, I go to the content, and I go to the home story. As the preview URL is localhost 3000, I'm connecting to my computer, to the application that I'm running in my computer. So, for instance, we have a teaser here with a headline and an image, the same component that we were seeing here. If we go to the draft JSON here, we can see that we have the content of the story. The story has a body, and the body has different components inside of it. So if I go to the teaser type here, you see that we have the headline of the teaser, the type is component, and we have an image with all the properties like file name or alt text, which are the ones that we are using here. And this is being rendered because we are using the dynamic component approach. We are receiving all the components related to that story from the REST API, and based on the type of component, we render the markup that we have defined in our Next.js application. Here, the page is not index.js because, as I mentioned before, Next.js offers us the possibility of creating dynamic routes. So if you see here, the code is very similar to the one that we saw for the index.js file that I created before. We have the client, we have the hook, we have the dynamic component and the layout and etc. But the difference is that, well, here is the get static props code, and you see that it's pretty similar. We are using the draft version. We are bringing all the data related to the story of that slug and returning that to the function that is generating the markup. But the difference is that get static prop is getting some parameters. And one of the params is the slug of the page that we are visiting. This slug is generated by this function that I mentioned before, which is called get static paths. And what we are doing here is using the Storyblock client to get all the paths, all the links that we have in our space. And for each one of those paths, what we are going to do is to add that to a list of slugs or URLs and sending those paths to the get static prop. So now we are seeing the changes applied dynamically, even if we are working here locally. And you can see that I connected the Storyblock bridge. So if I go here and it says my travel blog, I can post test and you will see the changes appearing. Or I can put, instead of my travel blog, I can put hack this fall test project, and it's changed live. And what is cool is that this is changing and we are not saving the changes. We are not generating a draft version of the story. We are not generating any deploy. We don't need any publishing of the content. You can see the changes just appearing here while I'm typing. And this is like super cool for the content editors because you don't need to save anything. You don't need to ask the developers to do a deploy. We don't need to I don't know, generate a new version of the page in the Git repository or whatever. And what is cool is that as we define the page as we define the page with a body that you can include any kind on and any number of blocks, you can add here new blocks, like you can add this text. You see that here that it's appear. I put the test text, for instance. I can click in the components here and apply the changes, like clicking here. You see that here the teaser is selected and I can work on the teaser, changes here. I can go to the page again. We have the components and I can rearrange the components, like look like I can move the text here. I can add another block, like another teaser, and put, I don't know, here is a teaser at the bottom of the page and I can put the second teaser. I can go to the feature post, copy it with this button and paste it here. And we are duplicating the content that we have. And everything is changing here without applying the space, without having to save the changes, without having to publish. And the content editor can see how the page will look like. Storyblock offers other features like workflows where you can define roles inside your organization and say, okay, this person can edit the content, this person can publish the content, this person can review a draft version and publish it to production. So this is why you have the different ways of editing the content and seeing the changes. Like you can edit it here without affecting anything. I mean, if I go here to my application, the one that is running locally, you see that the changes are not there. I mean, the page is displaying the same information that it displayed before, because all these changes weren't saved and a new version was not generated. If I click on save, I will see the changes here. I don't want to do this because I'm using this space for other example application. But if I click on save, you will see that the draft JSON that we are returning will have all the changes that I'm applying here. And if I click on publish, we will see the publish JSON will display all the changes. So you can see here that I can add components. We can define the schema here and say, okay, the body the page has a body. I can go to the body and I can say, okay, the body allows components, is of type blocks, a list of blocks, but we can say, okay, allow a maximum of 3 blocks or 2 blocks, or just doesn't have any maximum. You can add all the blocks that you need. Or you can allow only some components to be added, like create a wide list of components that say, okay, for my page, I only want to accept teasers. We can add any other type of component than teaser or than feature, for instance, in my page. And we won't be able to add any teaser. We won't be able to add the list or the grid of posts and etc. I mean, in this example in particular, probably doesn't make much sense because Sam and I are the admins of the space, and we can edit anything. We can create components. We can edit the page and the content. We can, edit this configuration. But if you are working in a bigger team or you have different roles in the team, you can have, I don't know, the admins or the developers that are the only ones available to that have the possibility to create components or to define these details. And you can have other roles like the content editors that are only allowed to add the blocks that we define in this whitelist, or just edit the content, or just create a new story or a new blog post and create the content for that blog post, but without editing the schema of the stories, the structure of our page, without having the possibility of creating new components and etc. So this is like the real-time editor would like. You can edit anything. I can save the changes here. I can go back to the Next.js application and show you that when you execute in production this project, this get static path function will be executed at build time and will generate all the static pages for all the blog posts and all the pages that we are defining here. As we are using the Storyblock client to get all the URLs from our space, we are going to generate all the pages that will conform our website at build time. And we will have static assets living in our web server, and we will have a super fast and secure blog platform living there and available to be visited. So yeah, I mean, this is the dynamic route. All the components we already saw. I think that we pretty much cover all that I wanted to cover. So is there any question, anything? As I can see in the chat, looks like the real-time editor was cool. That you think that was a cool experience. We think that this is like a differentiator. I mean, there are a lot of headless CMSs in the market. The real-time visual editor of Storyblock is a really cool experience, not only for the developers, but also for the content editors, which are the ones that are going to be working a lot of hours every day creating the content, and we are trying to offer the best experience to them. So having the possibility of editing the content in the page that you are creating or the page that you are editing and being able to see that in real time, it's really a cool experience, and all the flexibility that it offers, right? I mean, we also have the possibility to create all the content here in a form view, which is cool, but it's better if you can see how it looks like, right? So I don't know, Sam, do you think that I forgot anything?
No. I think like you told us more than needed, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
But there are two more
mean,
questions.
If it's overwhelming, yes.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. And there are two more questions, so you can answer them. If a newbie or beginner want to try this out, what will be the basic steps or walkthrough, just to summarize the final thoughts? So what will be your tips?
Yes, what I would do is, depending on the technology that you use, I would go to the technology hub that we saw before. And based on that technology, we have different tutorials and we have different components and libraries that you can see. For these three frameworks, Next.js, Next.js, and Gatsby, we have videos, we have guides like getting started here. If you go to getting started
Yeah, you can click
guide,
on it.
yes, you can see the project that is living there with a space very similar to the one that Sam designed. And we had a code sandbox here that you can use to execute the project and see how it looks like. But it's a basic guide to start with the first steps to create a space, to see how to connect it to your application and etc. If you want to go a little deeper, we have a Next.js in 5 minutes guide that you can use to create probably a more complex solution. And if you want to have a blog site where you can create articles and publish them, and not only that, but something that we don't have time to see that, but you can read this guide and you can have a multi-language website where you can translate your articles, because Storyblock offers you the possibility of having multicultural, multi-language and regionalization for the content that you create. And you can create articles and blog posts in different languages and be supported by Storyblock.
Yeah.
So I would recommend, this is probably I will share that in the, I don't know, probably I already shared that in the chat, but storyblock.com/technologies is the case. And that is the technology hub where you can read about the technology that you want. There we go. And there was another question. I need to build a project using Minstack. See, Simon, can you suggest some idea? Yes. So, well, depending on what you want to use, I mean, Min is Mongo Express, Angular. We have also Angular guides here. Yeah, it really depends on how you want to, the approach that you want to take to create your web application. The benefit of Storyblock is that as it offers a REST API, not only a REST API, but also a GraphQL API in case that you are familiar with GraphQL or you prefer to use GraphQL. And the way you connect to Storyblock is as you do with any other API. I mean, if you're using an API to connect to a database or to bring information from another service or another platform, it will be the same way that you connect to Storyblock using the API client that you want. Or in case that, in case of Angular, for instance, we also have here a guide. I will share that to you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if the stack that you're using is that, I assume that you're using Angular. We have a 5-minute guide here where we have all the instructions that you have to follow to use the JS client and start with there, the packages that you need to install, and etc. I will share that in the chat too. And yeah, feel free to ask me, to ask Sam on Twitter.
Yep.
We have an official Twitter account of Storyblock, a Discord channel. You can enter to Discord and ask any question that you have in Discord. And not only Storyblock team can answer, but also other people that is working and probably face the same issues that you are facing with their application. So feel free to ask. I mean, we are here to answer your questions.
Yeah. In general, like I would just add that basically this is what we choose is the Next.js, but you can do the Next Gatsby. We have a lot of people using the using the PHP or the Laravel. They're very happy with it, and getting also this real-time updates. So you can use it with many other stuff. Maybe two interesting points I definitely wanted to mention for hackathon is like the possibility that all we show you can do also with management API. Maybe Facundo, you can show where is the management API in the navigation.
Yes.
So basically you may automatize everything of this. So you can create the components using the code. You can keep them in your repository and just like upload them. So that's very, very, very handy if you want to build something really cool. Management, not manager.
Oh, sorry.
You can go to APIs in
the
navigation. Or you're looking for something. Okay.
Sorry.
And the second thing I wanted to say is definitely like those APIs. which can be very, very handy for hackathon. And the second thing is I want to mention the extensibility of the Storyblock. So because like there is like rumors that headless CMSs in general are like SaaS services, and that means that they're not open source. Of course, this means there is a reason, because it's we couldn't deliver a lot of stuff as open source. We are delivering at the moment, but this doesn't mean that you cannot like extend it with your own functionality or with your own apps, your own custom field types, plugins, or whatever you want to build. And there is like whole part of the Storyblock documentation where you can like build something like that. It can be integration with the Google Analytics, with the e-commerce platforms, with other APIs. So anything you would like to build. Maybe Facundo can also show a little the App Store, and where in documentation is the extensibility part of the plugins.
Yeah, if you go to any space, this is a space that, well, I mean,
you don't see it here. You're not admin here.
No. Oh, that's wrong. Sorry. Yeah, I was using the wrong space. But if you go to any space and you are the admin, you have the apps option here, and you can install some applications that Storyblock team created, but also you can create your own applications and use them. I don't know, in case that you use Cloudinary, if you know Cloudinary, you can use the assets that you are saving in Cloudinary inside your Storyblock space. You can I don't know, add a releases application to program the releases and schedule them. You can create your own apps. You can extend all the functionality that you have in your space, creating other apps or using the ones that we offer from Storyblock.
Yeah. I mean, could you go just very quickly to storyblock.com/developer guides and show the plugins?
Yeah.
Where they can everybody can find the extensibility or the plugins tutorials. Developer guides. And custom field types /plugins. Yeah, it's a little bit hidden. Yeah, you're there. Custom field types. In the middle.
Here?
Yeah, should work also.
Yeah, I don't know. There we go.
Yeah.
So
and that's it.
Sorry,
was there any other questions? I think not.
I want to share one more thing that because
go ahead.
No, I saw that people. I don't know if you follow us on Twitter or you are following the social networks related to Storyblock, but we are releasing the B2 of our platform, which is offering now a new user experience and user interface that you can use to create your products and to work with your projects. It's in a beta version, but you can register to that beta and be able to test it and to play with it. If you subscribe to the beta, when you have an space and you are working on there, you will have this button that says try B2 beta. And if you click there, you will be redirected to the new UI of the visual editor, which is, I mean, my personal opinion, it looks very, very cool. We have changed a lot of things on how to interact with the stories and the components. You can see here that, I mean, we have a new user interface. We have the possibility now of start discussion, which is pretty clear. Like, I don't know, I don't like this image, and I come here and I start a discussion like this is not the image that, this is not the image, I don't know, the correct image, let's say, and you can have different users adding some comments to that discussion. We have here now like a content browser that you can use to browse all the stories that we have, I don't know, in a different way. If you are here, you can switch from the form mode to the visual editor mode. You can also change the resolution of the story to test your responsiveness in your site. Like you can see if you have a tablet, if you have a mobile phone, if you are working on desktop, and etc. I don't know. I encourage you to register to the Storyblock beta, which is storyblock.com/beta. storyblok.com/b2. I will share this, and you can register to the beta version of the B2 and play with it. And we are waiting for your comments and feedback and your thoughts about it.
Right.
Definitely, so right now, while I was going through all the chats, one of the best things which I also saw was a comment from Garvit. It's like, I think I'm gonna use this in the hackathon, and that was fantastic to hear from you.
Good choice.
Definitely. Also, like if you have any further queries around Storyblock or anything else as well, feel free to drop those questions in the chat, and would be more than happy to bring that up on the screen and bring you an answer to the same. Awesome. And meanwhile, everyone was so energetic and pumped up with the things we shared, with the updates on Storyblock, the way it works, and everything else all together. So thanks a lot, everyone, for being super energetic and super supportive and interactive at the same time as well in the chat right now. Awesomeness never decreased, for sure.
Thank you very
Cool.
much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was very nice to be here.
And one more really awesome comment. 2 hours done, and still I don't feel that I started the session 2 hours back. Yeah, like time went away like anything.
Yeah.
Any question, any comment that you have, please feel free to reach us. We are here for you.
And looking forward to the
Yeah.
hackathon and how it looked like and what ideas will come with Storyblock also like that. I'm really like looking forward to it to see it.
Yeah, definitely. When we announced that Storyblock is one of our title sponsors, many of our closed hacker community members went to the website and they were like super happy to check that out as well at the same time. And personally, I'm also looking forward to all these creative ideas which you all will come up with, using Storyblock. And just in case if you have any questions or you get stuck somewhere after this workshop, we do have a Storyblock booth channel in our Discord as well. So feel free to reach out to Samuel or Facundo over there as well and ask your question, or you have any query, feel free to share it over there as well, and they'll be more than happy to help you out.
Mm-hmm. So
Cool. I don't see any further questions as of now. So maybe we could end this, or if you have anything else to share.
that's
Everything.
from my side.
We share
Thank
everything.
you very much. It was and thank you. You really held it like for 2 hours, so that's great.
That's absolutely fine with me. But thanks a lot, Samuel and Facundo. It was, indeed a wonderful time. And spending this evening for us in India, basically, it can be different for different people out there in the chat. But it was super energetic and as well as very insightful to know more about what Storyblock is, how does different things work, and so much in store, of course, at the end of the day. So make sure you check that out and try implementing it somewhere. We do have some amazing, cool, prizes for all those winners will be participating in the Storyblock challenge. Stay tuned for all of those things. We are gonna announce it super soon, so keep sure you keep your eye on our announcement channels and social medias at the same time. But other than that, thanks a lot for joining us and sharing all of those insights. You can just have a look on the booth channel which we have created, just in case if our hackers have any further queries, and you can just take them up from there.
Awesome.
Cool. So I do have one question from mind, which I ask like every speaker. But for example, Hack This Fall is definitely a hackathon, and people will be trying to solve some problem out there, build solutions around the same as well. So from your experiences, do you have any general suggestions or tips to our hackers, which they can keep in mind while they are hacking in the duration of the hackathon?
I was not prepared for this question.
Yeah, we weren't prepared, so yeah, Facundo, go ahead.
No, any suggestion? No, probably my suggestion in general is to first have a clear like a clear landscape of what you are trying to do or the problem that you are trying to solve, and before going to the technology itself or the code itself or the solution, the project, first have the idea in mind and define. I mean, for instance, like first having a general idea in mind, then going to the ground with that idea on how to implement it, and when implementing that, like designing it before start writing the code, start working on it. One of the cool, for instance, one of the cool concepts that Sam talked about is the atomic design. Please think about that, because instead of having code repeated in all your solution, with the atomic design and defining the components that you're going to use in your solution, you will get, I don't know, an easier code base that to maintain, an easier work to an easier way to work. You won't have duplicated code that when you come in the future you don't know where to touch or where to change. But again, I mean, not not all the programming. I mean, when you're working on a code solution or a programming solution, it's not always the 100% of the time about the code that you are writing, but also the ideas that you are thinking and what you are planning ahead of that.
Yeah. I mean, I would sum up basically, don't get lost in the detail. Have in mind like the bigger picture. And what I mean with that is like we, as a especially like if we are doing web, for example, we very often get loose in the details of how can I switch, how can I move this one pixel to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left. But at the end, it's don't change like the 99% of the stuff, which is like if the code is working, if the solution is done. So like keeping in mind, the big picture is very, very hard skill. And that's very important, I think, also for hackathon. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, definitely. Wonderful, suggestions for all of our hackers. Thanks a lot. It will definitely add value to their working and mindset as well at the same time. And yeah, thank you once again for joining us and sharing all of those things. I'm super glad to have you all joining us, and of course, Storyblock as our title sponsor. So I'll see you in the Discord connecting with our hackers, and let's conclude this session now.
Cool.
See you there. Thank you
See
again.
you. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Awesome, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining in. I hope you had a great time. Of course, it has been, 2 hours, but we never realized it that it has been too long. But at the end, what ends well, everything's well. There's one saying around the same as well. So thanks a lot for keeping up the energy, interacting a lot in the chat, and just answering or asking questions. That was super energetic. Again, if you haven't was from the starting, might have joined in the in the middle, make sure you check out the recordings. It will be recorded on our YouTube channel, will be staying forever over there. Don't forget to take a screenshot of Samuel and Facundo speaking and explaining things. Make sure you share it on socials, tag hack this fall, tag Storyblock. You can tag MLH as well. And while sharing, don't forget to share your learnings as well at the same time. What were your takeaways from this stream? What was that thing which you have learned from this particular stream, so that it can add value and help others out there as well at the same time. I'll quickly share the feedback form link in the chat. Make sure you fill out that feedback form so that you can earn your certificates for the session. Other than that, I also have a winner of swag giveaway from this particular stream. Let me quickly bring up the name for the winner of this stream who have won this swag giveaway. And it goes to Garvit Singh. A huge round of applause for him. Thanks a lot, Garvit, for being super interactive in the chat, asking questions and answering them many a times as well. Super happy to have you the part of Hack This Fall community. Until next time, stay tuned for more speaker sessions. We do have amazing lineup of sessions coming up. Make sure you check them out from our schedule page. If you haven't joined our Discord yet, join us over there. We do have amazing HTF Connects every Wednesday at 9 p.m. IST, which we host to connect with our community. If you are a swag lover just like me, grab your digital swags and earn your swags from the Hack This Fall official swag page, which is hackthisfall.tech/swag. Other than that, make sure to fill the feedback form. That was pretty much from my end. All these links are there in the description as well, so feel free to check that out. And I'll take a leave from here. Bye, everyone. Stay safe and see you in our Discord.